Hello everyone. Hello. Hi.
It's we are five of
Woo!
us.
We have a whole group. That's
Yeah,
cool.
we each subscribe for this workshop, and we found out recently we are all colleagues.
Oh,
So,
cool. Well, thank you for coming.
yeah. Hello everyone. It's 9 o'clock in the evening here. So,
Where are you calling in from?
Romania.
Oh, all right. Go ahead and put in the chat where you're calling in from. We probably, we've really pushed over the past few years to get as many international friends to join our organization. And so we're so excited that you're here.
Yeah, it's just not going to be five logins for you. It's going to be
Oh,
just one.
that's fine. You'll be in a breakout room with some fun people.
Cool.
All right. So we'll just wait a few minutes until everyone. Ooh, we got some people from Rotterdam here. Wow, this is fun. It's always fun to have our virtual events because it's an opportunity for us to really reach beyond North America and into the homes of our friends all over the globe.
New Zealand. Wow.
All right. So, uh, tonight, whatever time it is for you, um, I am Nicole Federo, and I am the current EAA events coordinator, which means that my role is to facilitate events that promote community and promote really more like support your work in the classroom. And recently, or over the past few years, I should say, because of the pandemic, we've really needed to kind of push out of our comfort zones and open up to more events that can reach around the world. And so recently I've put together a committee of members to help me facilitate more events. Last year we did some virtual events. Throughout the school year, we kind of peppered them in. And this is actually our first event of 2022. But we hope it's the first of many for this spring. And for those of you who have been paying attention, our summer conference will be virtual this summer as well. We had hoped that it could be in person, and if you've had the pleasure of being able to come in person, you know what a special event that is. But obviously, due to some restrictions, we wanted to create an opportunity for everyone to come together and so that it could successfully happen, that we weren't necessarily scrambling at the last minute. So I have a new crew of friends to help me make all of this happen. If you are new to EAA, we are a member-run organization, a grassroots organization that's run by volunteers. So I'm a volunteer. Amanda Cade, who is our membership coordinator, is a volunteer. Melinda Nielsen, who is our chair, who's here, she is a volunteer. So if you ever write us an email and it takes us a few days, it's because all of the time that we're spending is because we're volunteers. So today also we're going to have opportunities to collaborate and connect. And really, this is the first of a series of events, which I'll pass over to Emily to explain to you in a little bit more in a few minutes. But it's all about story writing, and story writing for guides specifically, because we need, as you know, a treasure trove of story ideas to ignite the children's interest and to really get them to dive into their work. So EAA has been an organization for decades now, so many decades. Melinda, how many decades has it been an organization? 4 decades? You're muted. You're still muted.
There you go. Well, we're celebrating our 40th refresher course, but EAA was an organization prior to that, probably about 10 or 15 years.
Yes, which leads me into the first thing I want to talk to everybody about today before I hand you over to Emily is our amazing website, which is filled, I mean, brimming with resources for you all. If you have not had a chance to check it out, I'm going to go ahead and drop the website into the chat.
Amanda already has.
Oh, you did it already? Amanda, will you do one more thing for me? Will you go ahead and drop that password in there? But I'm just going to do a really quick screen share of our beautiful website. Can you all see it? Give me a thumbs up if you can see the website. All right, so if you are ever at a moment where you're like, I need something, go to our website. It is amazing. It has conference resources from so many years back. I think I looked at it 2017, 2014. It goes all the way back to 2014. So if you have an afternoon where you have some free time, get in there, check it out. We also have this really cool archive of our newsletters, which, like, if you just type in something like history and you enter, whoa, look at all those resources right there. Man, it goes back really far too. 1980, 81. Can you imagine how many? Oh, and they're filled with stories and activities and extensions that you can do with your students. So again, if you have a few minutes, dig into our resources. There's also a really cool resource put together by Phyllis Potash Lewis that you can easily use to make your own Kingdom Animalia, Kingdom Vegetalia. Did you know it was in there? It's got everything for you from pictures to stories. So dig in there sometime soon and check it out. And I think that's all I have, Emily. Are you ready? Are you ready to take over this meeting?
Sure.
All right, so before I begin, before Emily begins, Emily Curry will be your host today. She has been an EAA member for, what'd you say, like 6 years?
Yeah, that sounds right. I believe 6.
I first met Emily at the summer conference in Greenville. And the one thing that stood out about Emily was her giant collection of Sharpie markers. She came up to me and was like, I love Sharpies, and literally had one of those gallon Ziploc bags filled with Sharpies. And now every time I see a Sharpie, I think of Emily Curry. So ladies and gentlemen, here's my friend, Emily Curry.
Thank you, Nicole. I do really love Sharpies, and I still have many, many, many. Yes, I really like colors. But thank you so much to everyone for making the time to be here today. I really appreciate it, especially with the wide diversity of time zones that everyone's calling in from. It's not always easy to make it to these events, so it's really appreciated. When the activities committee met recently for the first time, we were brainstorming about ideas that were needed in the community, in the EAA community. And we started talking about how we were so, just lamenting that we never seem to have the time to write all of the stories that we want to write. There's always more inspiration and more ideas than we have time for. And I'm sure it's a dear wish for many of you as well to have more stories to share with the children. But of course, there always seem to be more urgent and immediate needs that pop up throughout the school year. So it just kind of sinks back down to the bottom of the to-do list. So during that meeting, we decided that we wanted to create a workshop series for all of us to make the time to make the stories. So we wanted to support one another through the story writing process by kind of creating like a writer's workshop group for story writing for the elementary child, and helping one another to create, go through the whole writing process, everything from brainstorming and thinking of ideas to writing the stories, getting feedback on the stories you write, everything. So we're here at this first session to really start that process with brainstorming and coming up with ideas. And then we're hoping that as time goes on, we'll be able to share our stories and workshop with one another more. So of course, we are focusing on nonfiction stories that we want to share with the children. So anything we share is going to be nonfiction. Here in a moment, we will send you guys out to breakout rooms just to introduce yourselves for a few minutes. And we would love for you to take a moment to share with one another, who you are, where you're from, what age ranges you teach. And if you have any particular area of expertise or affinity, like perhaps you have a background in geology, or maybe you know a lot about history of the American Southwest, or maybe you are someone who has a background in chemistry, any particular affinity or expertise would be appreciated, because one of the really great things about coming together to do this is we have experts now, and instead of each of us individually trying to write stories about things we are not particularly knowledgeable in, we have everyone here to help us out. And there are so many of us on this call who have such wide backgrounds. That's a huge, huge plus to coming together in a group like this. And I hope that we can take advantage of it. So here in just a moment, we'll send you to those breakout rooms to introduce yourself. And then we'll come back together for a few minutes. And we will also be using a Padlet to share ideas. So we'll come back together for a few minutes and then send you back to the breakout rooms to really get the brainstorming process started. And when you're brainstorming, you'll be able to put ideas into, let's see, there we go. I just posted the link to the Padlet in the chat. You'll be able to put any ideas there. You can use it to share links. You can use it to share just thoughts that you have as a group for things that you're interested in. Anything at all. So we'll be collecting a bank of resources that we can then share with one another, and bank of ideas that we can share with one another. So that will be really useful. But let's see. Nicole, am I accurate that it's time for those introductory breakout rooms? Fabulous. So those should be happening shortly. Just so you can introduce yourselves to one another. Ooh, oh well. I just realized I forgot to tell everyone a time limit, but that's okay. They'll get a notification. You're muted, Nicole, if you don't know that.
We'll broadcast something to the rooms.
That'll be okay.
Hmm. 5 minutes?
That's what I was thinking. That's what we had talked about. I mean, it's
Yeah.
flexible, but this is much less nerve-wracking than the parent education event I did the other night. The way they had it set up, you couldn't see anyone else when you were talking. So you just saw yourself on video and couldn't see anyone's reactions. It was really weird to talk to people without seeing feedback.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay.
I know for sure. We're already 15 minutes through, so.
It's not that bad. I'm just like, where do I put my notes? Should my notes be here? And I keep moving it, which isn't helping. So that's okay.
Yes, it's fine. Did I hit enough stuff on my intro, you think?
I think so.
Amanda said it was good.
Amanda gets to be the supreme judge today then. We didn't introduce the activities committee.
That's fine.
Okay. Should we keep the members anonymous?
No. If we have some time later, you can end with it if you need to, but it's fine. Oh, I forgot to plug the summer conference. Or like plug people like submitting stuff for the summer conference.
Yes. Next time we do one in person, I figured out the thing that I want Eric Rivas to do at a summer conference.
Oh, you did?
I want him to do pyrography.
What's that?
Wood burning.
Oh yeah, I've seen him do a lot of that.
Really good at it, like actually. Which is exciting.
Yes, we're doing this. So you can pop around. So I have to leave at 2:30 because I have some work to do. This is just recording up to the cloud, so I'll edit it. I realize that I will need to edit it. But I'll make you the host at that time.
Okay.
So you can stay on for as long as you want.
Okay. 2:30 your time or 2:30 my time?
Oh, 2:30 my time. So in 15 minutes I have to go.
Okay.
Actually, I could make Amanda the host if you want me to. Or are you cool with it?
I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I would assume at that point the breakout rooms will be open again. And so then that's the only thing that I might struggle with this because I haven't done it in several months. So
yeah, you're
after that.
Oh shit, is it 5 minutes yet? Oh, they have 1 minute and 34 seconds. And I'm going to actually, when I set up the next set of rooms, I'm going to mix them up. Okay. So you might want to say, like, I know you just met some people, but you're going to meet some new people.
Cool.
All my breakout rooms. We'll have 1 minute now. All right, 1 minute. I'll be back in 1 minute. So we actually have 31 people.
Nice. Okay.
That's exactly what I said, right?
Nice. Spot on. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back. Did you meet some new people?
Lovely. We're going to wait just a minute for everyone else to rejoin us from those breakout rooms.
Did you find out anything surprising about one another? Like Amanda's trap and release program? No?
Let's see, I see lots of people coming back into the main.
Yeah, that'll be closed in 1 minute.
As you come back, please feel free to put a little bit about your background into the chat for those of us who weren't in the background room with each of you. That way we can all see a little bit more about you and about each other. So as you return, feel free to do that and add a little bit more about yourself in the chat, about your background or particular areas of interest or affinity. Let's see.
They're all back, Emily. They're all back.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, so welcome back. I hope you had fun introducing yourselves to one another. Please do really put a little bit about your background in the chat just so that we can all see a little bit more about our wonderful group who's gathered together to go through this workshop with us so that we know what kind of expertise we have. So knowing that we have such a diversity of people is really wonderful background information for all of us so that we know, again, that we have such a diversity of stories available to us. Just thinking about where everyone was typing they're from, what a diversity we have there. That's so cool. I'm still in awe of how many different time zones we're in. That's crazy. Yeah. So Here in just a moment, you'll get to go back into breakout rooms to now start brainstorming ideas for stories and thoughts you have and resources that you enjoy for different stories. You will actually be in a different group this time around, so that you will have lots of opportunities to meet new people today and to be with lots of other people from different perspectives. And we will all use that same Padlet, that same app, to collect our resources so that we'll have one central location. And we'll meet to brainstorm for about 30 minutes. I'll pop in and out of a few rooms as I'm able to say hello to everyone too, and just hear what's going on, what beautiful ideas everyone has. And then we'll come back together to do a little bit of sharing about what each group thought was particularly interesting, or really what great ideas everyone had. And then that Padlet will continue to be our tool. You can continue to add to it even after this if you have things that you think of later, where you remember that one book that was on the shelf in your classroom that you forgot about. That's so cool that you want to share with us. Feel free to add things to it later as well. And then the hope is that after we brainstorm today and come up with lots of topics and ideas and resources, that we will hopefully be able to write a story or two of our own. And then next time we come together, we'll be able to workshop those stories and share with one another and get feedback and help improve them and make them really strong treasures that we really want to share with the children for ages and ages to come. Oh man, I'm really enjoying seeing everyone put things in the chat. Thank you so much, guys. We are a really diverse group, just like we thought. That's so cool. I always am in awe when we get a group of Montessorians together, knowing everyone's different background and path to Montessori. So cool. We come from so many different paths. So here in just a moment, you'll head back to breakout rooms to do some of that brainstorming, and let me paste just so it's available again. And that's the link to the Padlet. If you haven't used Padlet before, it is really, really, really intuitive. I hadn't used it before Wednesday. So you will be able to pretty quickly figure it out, but do feel free to message me or call for attention if you do need help with that. But it's really easy to use.
And can I say something about brainstorming? So when you're in there and you're brainstorming, you can be brainstorming specific people you would want to learn more about. You could be brainstorming particular cultures you might want to learn more about. It could be plants, it could be animals, it could be just about anything. You know those days where you're like, oh, I want to give a lesson on A, B, or C, and you're like, but I don't know where to start. This is your group to come together and have those conversations. Where are you going to start? I know my friend Ellen is in here today, and Ellen and I taught together for many years, and we were always coming up with stories about Georgia history because that's where we taught. And so we were always like, oh, we don't have a story about Sequoia's syllabi. Is that what it is, Ellen? Syllabi. So we went to New Echota and we went to the printing press there, and we learned all about the Cherokee Indians that lived in North Georgia. And then we wrote some stories, and then we were able to come back and tell the children. So think about the things that you need to enrich your classroom. And you might find that people here also need those things to enrich their classrooms. Or you might be thinking about something that other people need to be highlighted for them. So maybe you're really passionate about some poet, and other people don't know about that poet, but you could be highlighting someone that one of your colleagues has never had a chance to think about before. So doesn't matter the person or the event or the culture. The point today is to get it all out and create a direction for yourselves.
Yeah, if there are any really good resources that you find yourself going back to time and time again as well, this is a great opportunity to share those. I personally am a fan of podcasts. So when you look at that Padlet, you'll see I put a few different podcast things in there because that's a resource I really love. So if you have anything like that too, please feel free to share those as well. All of those are great. great treasures for all of us as we go through this story writing process.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open all the rooms.
Oh, you'll have 30 minutes in those rooms this time around.
Emily, will you put the link back of Padlet? There you go.
There we go. I've been keeping track of the Padlet and popping in and out of the rooms. And oh man, I am already feeling super inspired by hearing everyone's ideas and seeing stuff. This is really exciting. I'll give it just another little bit as those rooms are closing before everyone gets a chance to share. There we go. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you guys were really inspired by your time in a breakout room together brainstorming. I was inspired popping in and out of some of the rooms just to hear what people were talking about and seeing all of the ideas that have been added to the Padlet is really, really cool. I hope that people keep adding to that. But we want to I wanted to make sure that we had time for everyone to come back and share if there were any particular ideas or thoughts that anyone came up with that you really wanted to go ahead and share with the group that you're feeling particularly inspired by. Does anyone have anything they wanted to share? You can either just unmute yourself and start talking. You can virtually raise your hand.
Yeah, I was really inspired in my little group about that they knew so many different podcasts that could really help you with your stories. And I listen podcasts on totally different subjects, but now I'm like, oh, there's this whole new world opening for me, like to really get inspired in another way. Yeah, really nice.
Yay, I'm so glad. Lori, I see that you'd like to speak.
Hello, I see lots of faces from our book club that is meeting tomorrow. So a number of us are reading The Dawn of Everything, and this past chapter was just rich with information, like about thinking about agriculture, and really maybe we need to be reframing that and thinking about gardeners, and that it was women's work and women were basically the scientists of our early ancestors. It was just awesome, awesome stuff. So really excited to see some stories come out of that. And I don't feel equipped to do that on my own, but I would love to collaborate with people on that. And just, and also what's coming out of the book is just the idea, I think it's called the 3 stages of civilization, but when we talk about agriculture and industrialism and just rethinking that, and like, how do we share those stories in a way that reflects current knowledge and understanding from archaeological evidence, and realizing that where the archaeological work has happened has been has skewed our understanding of history, right? Like we need to be there's a lot more to know that we just haven't dug into yet, so to speak.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about that. I know that book group has been going really well, thanks to Allison for leading it. Yeah. What other ideas, inspiration, thoughts did people want to share? Kimberly?
Well, I shared a book that I've been using with the younger elementary students that I have, and everyone in my group seemed to think it was a pretty good idea. So I thought I'd share it with everybody else. I have this book called How to Be a World Explorer, and it's published by Lonely Planet. And so what it does is it lets the child travel all throughout the biomes of the world. And it talks about all the sticky predicaments that you could find yourself in if you were perhaps in a desert biome or the savanna or in an Arctic region or lost at sea. So what the children, there's for the Amazon for example, there's how to wrestle an alligator, how to remove a leech. So it tells you all the things that you could possibly encounter in that particular biome, and then how to like survive, what would be your survival skills that you would need to survive if you were ever lost in that region of the world. So it's been amazing as far as getting the children to write down informative facts about different places in the world. And they know all about the danger zone at the top of Mount Everest and what could happen if there was a crevasse along the way. And so this book was instrumental to me for online learning. And I even had a child whose parent bought them the book, and we would read the book together in our one-on-one meetings, and we would talk about the facts from the book. And then he and I worked on an adventure story where he would go through, he would pick his biome and figure out all the possible perils and how to build a fire if he were lost at sea and washed up on a deserted island. So he made a true life adventure story, just using the facts and information from this book. So it's just a go-to for me that seems to inspire some of the children to write with more than they would have if I asked them to use something else for inspiration.
That is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that resource with all of us. These are exactly the sort of treasures and jewels and inspirational things that I was really hoping we would all get from this gathering. That's yay. So excited, guys. Did anyone else want to share something that was really inspiring?
We talked in our group a lot about the struggles that some of us are having with the children learning to read and write, and maybe feeling like they're not quite where we would like them to be right now. And so we talked a little bit about maybe coming up with some stories of the alphabet, some of the things Jay McKeever, when her story of Jay that she shared, as a way to inspire the children and get the stories into that work we feel pressured to do. And we also talked about the medicine wheel and some of the stories that come out of that, the creation story and the story of the Turtle Island as a way to build community and some social justice work with that. So those were some of the things we talked about.
That's really cool as well. Thank you, Gail. Feel free to unmute yourself if you also would like to share, or virtually raise your hand. All right. Oh, Susan, I see that you want to share, but you're muted, so you'll want to unmute. Susan, we can't hear you yet, but I see that you're talking.
In our group, we spend a lot of time on sometimes the obstacle of narrowing it down, having such a broad, like the topic was language, and how to choose the right aspect to really interest your children, and how to use something personal as the spark, or something local, or some way to keep it from being so overwhelming you can't write the story. Mm-hmm. You get paralyzed. So we spent a lot of time with the language, and we spent some time on how to do a story about dissection, but what lessons would come first, and when would it be appropriate to put a story in. And then I suggested the local animal stories for animal stories. Mm-hmm. Everyone to, none of us recommended resources though. We just talked about ideas, but the local animal, we could all share more about our local animals. Mm-hmm. And also for the older children, the hero stories about new vaccine researchers and first responders, the hero stories that come with them.
Yeah, that's really lovely inspiration. Thank you so much, Susan. It sounds like you guys did a lot of valuable groundwork and discussion around what's needed to write a story, which is really lovely to talk about as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talked about a bunch of stuff in our group. We were all over the place, very cosmic, which, yeah, always good. But I think when we were talking about the stories, I think all of us seemed to also be kind of like, okay, well, how do you tell a story? How are they going to do it? how are they going to engage in it? And so we were kind of brainstorming, like, how do you give the story, but then how do you allow for like that follow up with the children to the story, like, make it to where they can actually do, like we were talking about winds and like local wind conditions, because we have a lot of like global wind conditions, but it's like micro. I believe someone said it was the Colombian gorge, like there's a certain like wind that comes off of it just in the area where they live, and like smaller, more focused stories to get them more interested on like tangible things.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing. Sorry if there's background noise on my end. I'm in my classroom and my wonderful, wonderful, excellent custodial staff is coming through with a vacuum. So I'm going to try to keep myself muted. But Lavanya, I think I saw you had your hand up if you wanted to speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Becca for the wonderful three-dimensional workshop we did in summer. And my classroom is all with X books and accordion books. So the one rule which I've told them is like, you make an X book, you have to write a story in that. So they just love it so much. So thank you so much, Becca. I think of you every single day. The children are so happy to do that. There is one boy in particular, he is like all over the X books, and he's been talking about X books, teaching his parents how to make X books. So even during the parent teacher conferences in November, his parents were like, what is that you showed? My son, he just wants to do X books all the time. So that was really, really amazing. Thank you so much once again.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I did not invent the X book. It is way older than any of us here, I think, but I'm so glad that it's taken off in your class.
But to me, you did.
That's really lovely. Yes, thank you so much to everyone who's contributed. And Becca, that was a really great workshop. Will you guys just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay? I just want to make sure that I'm coming through. Okay, good. Thank you. I do want to honor all of our time. So it's okay that cleaning has commenced around me because we are at the end of our time together. But I do just want to share really quickly next steps. So our hope is that each of us will be able to go home and write at least one story that comes about from this workshop. I'm gonna mute for just a second.
Nothing like the real world, huh, guys? Sorry about that. Thank you for your patience with me. I just want to share that, so our goal is to write a story after this. And so then when we come back together next month, and we're looking at the date of February 26th, we're hoping that everyone will have a rough draft, just a rough draft, to be able to share and workshop with one another. And we can go over the elements of a good story at that time and help support one another more with that writing process. And then we would like to come together one third and final time for sharing of our stories. So we're really excited and looking forward to meeting again in February and probably March for that third and final meeting as well. Please feel free to continue adding any thoughts, ideas, resources, desires, wishes to that Padlet. That will be shared with the wider community as well in case folks who weren't able to attend today would like to add things to that. And I really appreciate everyone making the time to be here. It always seems like an hour flies by. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to stop the recording.